right. We are officially live. So, we are back in Factorio, and this time we are starting from scratch. So we've got a nice open map with no buildings on it, and we're gonna get started and see if I can remember how to even do this. Let's see. Right click to mine. I knew that. So let's yoink some copper. I don't know, that's probably... Alright, so we can get down a stone furnace. And we have one burner miner drill already set up. So let's head over here and grab some more wood, because that is going to be something that I'm going to need some of to get my mining drills going. And also, what's it called? Power poles or whatever. I'm going to need some of those. So, we have that. Oh, I can also dismantle the spaceship for some stuff. Right, so we get some more firearm magazines. We can get some iron plates. And, I don't know, that'll help a little bit. So let's just go around and do this. We're not going to get all that much out of this, but I might as well. Alright. So there we go. And then that, none of that actually has any stuff in it. Alright, so we have iron plates. We have a copper patch. The iron patch is over here, and the coal patch looks like a bit up north. So let's get the iron going, because we're going to need a lot of that. So that can just go automatically. And how do you... Let's see, how do you craft more of these? We need gear wheels and another stone furnace, which means we need stone. So let's head all the way up here to grab some stone. And there are biters up here? Really? By my starting stone patch? That's unfortunate. Okay, well hopefully we just ignore them. If not, we do have a pistol. I would like to not mess around with the biters just this moment. Alright, how much of that do I need? So we can get a stone furnace. And realistically another one. Might as well. And then we can at least head back down to grab that iron that we had mining. So slow with nothing speeding it up. It's all manual, so we're gonna have to run around a lot. It's fine. Alright, where's the actual iron? Oh, I see. You just output that onto the ground. Okay, that's mildly annoying. Okay. That's not really what I wanted you to do at all. I guess we're gonna have to get this slightly better automated then. Burner inserters, come on, I don't want to do that. Let's see here. I can make more of these once I get this iron smelted up. So let's get some of that going. And I guess we just have to stand here. And I could actually just move this to possibly just put directly into the stone furnace. Yeah, that seems like a better idea. Alright, so you rotate that way. You get picked up and placed there. And then you get the wood. And now that's sort of a thing. And we're going to need even more wood for this. So chop down a couple more trees. Throw that in there. You have plenty for now. I'm going to top you off. I don't think copper is necessary for a while. So I can make another burner miner drill. And this should be good progress towards getting coal automation up here. So let's see, I have the plates and stuff to make another one of those. So I just need the stone furnaces. And then I can do the whole thing where you have two of them feeding into each other on the coal side of things. And then I won't have to be chopping down wood anymore. So we can run up here and start whacking away at this stone patch. So here we go. Okay, let's just get up to like 10. I think that's 2 stone furnaces. Yes, so I can set those up and then use one of them to make another one of those. And now these 2 can go over on the coal patch. Like that and like that. And then give me a coal to get that started. So now you're going to mine coal, put it into there. You're going to mine coal, put it back down to there. And that should be the fuel supply sorted for the time being. Alright, so next stop. Steam power is apparently 96%. That's cool, I guess. Probably from mining coal. We've got plenty of iron plates. We have steam power researched. And we need to craft up some copper plates to get electronics. And then we can get a proper power grid going and make all of this less awful. So let's hop up, grab some of that coal. And okay, we can make another burner miner. So we have that for the copper. Grab some coal, just a little bit will be enough. And we have a stone furnace down there. So we can run down and set up our copper mining and smelting. Alright, so first of all, pick you up and pop you down, put you next to it, give you some coal, give you some coal, and that'll get us some copper plates until the coal runs out in a couple seconds. Meantime, up here, check the iron supply again. We've got a good amount of iron. We have some coal. We have some copper. The copper is going to need to be refueled because I didn't put all that much in. The coal is apparently going to need to be refueled as well. Or at least... no, it probably won't need to be refueled actually. So then we can get to the lab once we have time for that. In the meantime, let's get stone set up. So we have everything except the stone itself for this. so let's grab some stone and just mine away manually. Get one of you going. Get more manual mining. And burner mining drill. Please say that you can just put directly into an iron chest. Alright, you get a little bit of coal. And does that fill up the chest? It does. Very nice. Alright, so we are making progress. We have a good supply of iron. The copper, once we get this fuel down, will be good to go as well. It might still be going. Yeah, it is still going. Let's make sure that it continues to go for a while. Okay. So, next up, we need to start getting some of the other stuff. Yeah, we're doing Space Age. And obviously we're nowhere near actually starting on Space Age soon, but eventually we are doing it. Alright, so I need a steam engine. Let's get power set up. I need more iron and I need more coal to power the iron setup. So we run all the way up north. But yep, starting from scratch. So we have a little bit to go. And by a little bit to go, I mean a lot to go. It's honestly just nice being able to not deal with all of the same design mistakes that I had in the previous save too. Like, I can try again and hopefully not mess up this time. Okay, you can swap over to coal. Try to speedrun the rocket silo. Yeah, I guess something like that could happen. I'm definitely gonna take... I mean, I'm probably not gonna speedrun, but I'm probably gonna be a lot faster than last time, obviously, because I know what I'm doing. Alright, so that needs stone. So we need to run up there and get some stone. And up we go. We have our stone up here. There we go. So we can then make a boiler. And that should be most everything we need for power. And then we just need copper cables for the power poles themselves. And then we can get power set up so that we don't have to run everything off of burners everywhere. You can at least get like some inserters and stuff going. Alright, offshore pump right there, which can then go directly into a boiler, which can then go directly into a steam engine. Okay, so then we need to bring coal down to here to power the boiler, and then we need to bring some power lines. So let's get some of those crafting, and then get some coal to start up the boiler, I guess. Alright, give me some of that. That should hopefully get the boiler going for a decent chunk of time. So back down we go. And we're going to need more logs to get power lines proper. There you go. And power lines going up this general direction. Alright, so that is something, at least. The lab, we need a whole lot more iron for. Getting some early researches cranked out to have that going would definitely be very nice. So let's give me some more of that. And let's start crafting up 50 million things that we need to do to make the lab. Alright, so that's going. How is the copper supply? Copper supply is fine. Iron supply is slightly less fine, but still mostly good. Alright, lab crafted. So we can pop you down. And... oh, I didn't do this correctly. I'm so used to having drones that I just placed blueprints down for everything and assumed that it would work, and that's definitely not how it works in the early game. I have to place these manually. Alright, so that goes all the way down to there. Alright, so the lab exists. Then the next thing we need is electric mining drills. Now let's craft up a whole bunch of those and then start throwing them in. Oh, there are a lot more types of science now, huh? And also it shows you all the types of science that exist, so that's neat. All that stuff's gotten overhauled. So we just need to throw these science packs into the lab, get our mining drill, and I'd say it was 25. Alright, so we're going to need more of these then, which means more iron. So let's run up here. And once we can do at least some things electronically, then we can get like some belts set up and everything and get some organization. Alright, craft up more of those. And throw all the ones that I have into there. Alright, so we are making progress. The biters up here are like annoyingly close to my stone and coal patches, so I'm definitely going to have to deal with that very soon. But very soon is not right now. Were you planning on doing a specific Space Age achievement? I know basically nothing about Space Age. Like, I've kept myself pretty well in the dark about it, so I can experience things firsthand for myself, so I don't really know what I would even be going for. Alright. So just keep the science going. And how is this going on fuel? You have 9. You are moments away from stopping. Alright. Let's run up here and grab some coal. There we go. I noticed that you have also stopped, but you're just doing stone, which is less important. It's at least less important for the time being. So we can leave you off for now. And then we head back down here. And let's see, I don't know, you get some to keep going, and then let's make sure, yeah, iron is stopped, and we need a lot of iron. So we need to keep you going as well. How's that? That still has 6 at least, which is better than nothing. Alright, so that's going. Science. We should have enough science in the lab now. It's just a question of letting it finish. And then we can get our electric mining drills. And then start doing some basic automation. But we need probably just a lot more iron for that. Like, this only gives me 11 transport belts, which is ridiculous. So where did my stone go? I could have sworn I had a bunch of stone just like a second ago. Let's see here. Did I put my stone from my inventory into that box instead of putting the stone from that box into my inventory? I definitely might have done that. Yeah, that's what I did. Whoops. Alright. Give me all that. And then... Okay. Electric mining drills finished. Next up... logistics we can probably get by without for the short term. What of these? I guess automation gun turrets would be nice to have. Stone walls would be nice to have. Let's just queue up automation, because we're definitely going to need that pretty soon. And then give me some more coal, so that we can keep things refueled down here. So let's get another burner miner drill for the iron, and actually I guess an electric mining drill too. Might as well have that built at least, because we're going to want it soon. So we get one of those. And it gets its own little stone furnace. And then these each get some coal. So now that's iron getting produced faster. Alright, so next we need to bring power up here so we can swap to electric miners. Which means we need to chop down a bunch of trees. So let's get that done. Alright. Then we can queue all those up. And that should be enough to bring the power most places that we want it to be. Alright, so then this goes up. Yep, this is my second Factorio playthrough. My first one I finished just on Thursday, and I've restarted from scratch with Space Age DLC, which is very exciting. Alright, so now we just have to bring this power line. Gosh, the range is so short on these. And they require wood. Cannot wait until we get the better power poles. Alright, so power poles are now over in this general area, which means I can get an electric mining drill down, and yeah, I know you can drag them. It's just it's weird because I'm not used to not having drones, so when I drag them I sort of just place them out of my personal range, and then things get all wonky. Alright, so we have that. Then we need... I guess we don't have electric furnaces yet, and won't for a while. I think that's behind steel. So you're going to need to be coal-powered as well for the time being. And then with the three of these together, we should be able to muster up a decent amount of iron. Alright, so that is that. Then what we need is we need to make so many transport belts. And these are just iron plates and iron gear wheels. Now we are actually close to automation research, so I might yoink some more copper plates over here. how much do we need? Not all that much. So let's just queue up a couple of those and get this going, because then we can make constructors to do the crafting for us, so we don't have to worry about it as much. And until then, until we have very, very basic automated belts, I guess we're just going to have to do everything manually. But once we do have automated belts, we can bring the coal down to power those smelters, and it'll all be good. Alright, I think we have enough research in here to get this done. So let's just put the last one of that crafting batch in. And, okay, we can get more electric mining drills so that we can then convert to those for the rest of these. And then we shouldn't be using all that much coal. And our stone patch should be able to just keep going indefinitely. So let's start by trying to drag this correctly and not get too far out of my own range. Alright, so now we're up here and automation research is finished. So let's queue up gun turrets for defensive purposes. Not that I'm really going to be doing much researching of it, because we have other stuff to do at the moment. So we can put you in, get you powered, and yeah, okay, I've messed it up. I've messed it up again, and I've placed the ghosts again. I can't believe I've done this. Alright, let's just do this manually then. Normally, you just have drones do it, but I don't have drones right now. So my muscle memory is all out of whack. Yeah, it's pretty good. The downside is that there are biters, like, literally right up there. Like, pretty much directly next to that stone patch and coal patch are just biters, so I'm a little bit worried about that. Alright, let's get another stone furnace for you to feed into. And I want the wood so that I can make these. So we just need to get up here and get some coal set up. Alright, chop down that tree so I can see what I'm doing. And where is... I guess a wooden chest might probably work. Yes, alright, so that works there. I still might as well yoink the coal out of there so that I have it. And then we have this, which we can drag all the way up to here and get our electric mining drill set up. And I guess just move this box over since that one is not doing anything. Alright, so that should be stone good. That should be coal set up. And now we have... Oh, I never put coal in this. So there you go. You get some of that, so you can be going. And then we just need to get assembly machines and then start making some belts. Because I do not want to craft insane amounts of belts by hand. I will go insane. We are going to do that with assembly machines. So I think we need 2, right? 1 for the gear wheels, 1 for the transport belts themselves. And then we're going to need a couple of inserters. So let's queue some of those guys up. And I have 6 power poles, which is probably enough for this. Alright, so we get assembly machine there, which takes an inserter from there, and you need to make gear wheels. Then we have another assembly machine up here, which takes the gear wheels, and I guess we are going to need a little bit of a belt in there. Somehow I made exactly the right number of inserters, which is cool. So let's craft up just a couple of these, like that, and then we get the whole thing powered up. You get set to those. You take, and then... Okay, I think we need one more inserter, actually. Alright. So that is doing its thing. That is doing its thing. I have the... Okay, what's the button to make the ingredients pop up on the outside? Is that settings somewhere? Where is that? Left alt. There we go. Thank you. Alright, that is very helpful. I've had it turned on for so long in my other game, I forgot how to turn it on. Alright, so that is all set up. Once we have enough conveyors to get coal over here, it'll be really set up. But for now, we have a good supply of those. So that can just go. Your hotbar is lit up now. What do you mean? Is it looks, maybe it looks different? I don't know. It's hard to say. I don't have a good memory for tiny UI details. Just put some stuff on there now that you bring it up. And we can grab some of that. And go over here. How is this going? Pretty fast. Oh, I see. Interesting. Cool. Alright. That's handy. Alright, so that is going. You don't have enough gears because that's going slowly. But it'll get there eventually. Let's manually refill you for now. And grab some plates. Alright, so we have that going. That is good. Now this is obviously very, very flawed as a setup in the long term, but for the short term, at least we have something. So speaking of the short term, let's get some more of those crafting so that we can get our gun turrets, which we'll have to automate, but should be very helpful in getting rid of those biters up there by the coal. And speaking of those biters up there by the coal, let's actually queue up a couple of inserters, because I want to start bringing this coal down so that at the very least it'll be a shorter trip, but ideally... Okay, wait, no, there's a box there, so we need to unload from the box using those inserters, which I haven't crafted yet. And there we go, there's one. Alright, so we have that going south. And then we just have to start taking this down and chop out all the trees in the way. Underground belts don't exist yet, so that's going to be a bit of a delay. So then we just have to keep on chopping down trees as we go, which is fine because we're in the phase of the game where you need wood anyways. Or at least it's very helpful to have. So now this goes down. Okay. Is there a tree there? Yes, there is. It's very hard to tell. That's a tree. Alright, I think things have stopped probably because our boiler ran out of coal. Yes, our boiler ran out of coal. So let's grab some of that and then get that booted back up again. So hopefully with this belt getting down there, we will not have to do this more times than this. So that is going, meaning coal production is now running again, as well as everything else. Alright, now we go over here. This box is filled up with another 40 of these. And we have coal going again. So we can just bring this down to here. And that's as far as it'll go in the short term. Let's feed those science packs in. So eventually we will have the belts to finish that. And also we're going to need splitters to send some of it down there and some of it over here. But that shouldn't be too far away. The early researches are kind of quick. Alright, at least we don't have to head all the way up to the coal now. We can grab it off of the belt here if we need it. Alright, just making our way on over here. We're most of the way. Science is going. Fuel is getting burned very quickly, it seems. So that's not ideal. Alright, let's get logistics researched. And I guess we should be crafting more of these. And probably just have an assembler do part of that. But the power situation is currently not great, so manual crafting is nice. Might as well keep the research going, and then we're going to have to bring coal down to the boiler in just a second. So let's grab a couple more belts before we go and do that. Alright, don't use shift mode, that would be a mistake. Alright, so we get that down, and that's about as far as it'll go. Now we can grab all of that giant chunk. And now we head over here, give you a stack of coal, and there we go. So we managed to stop that before it got properly interrupted. We might need more mining drills. We probably do need more mining drills to keep the power going, even once we have all of that. Alright, you get your research, and I will queue up another batch. Alright, back up here. Do I have resources to build another electric mining drill? I do, but I queued up a bunch of research crafting, so it's going to be a little bit. Okay, and actually it looks like the inserter is largely the bottleneck here, and that's fine because we can fix that easily. Alright, so let's just take these two guys down. They don't really need to be there. And then we can get our other mining drill just directly onto the belt. Although this is slowly depleting, so I guess that's fine. the inserter is technically going fast enough. RC Flyer, hello. We are starting up a new game of Factorio. It's been a little bit since I did the early game, so it's always a bit of adjustment from going from 20 billion drones everywhere, everything is automated, just place down blueprints and it works, to this. All right, you still have plenty of fuel, so you're just chilling. Then we need to go over here and grab some of you. I should make a box for that so they can stack up more. The beginning is your favorite part for some reason. Yeah, the beginning is fun. It's just very different. And that's part of why I like starting new games, is because you get to play all the different parts of the game as opposed to just having like the constant end game set up. All right, so that is going. This belt production is going very, very slowly up here, which is perhaps unsurprising. I guess I will keep these guys going. I'm not exactly short on coal, really, at the moment. So just a little bit of extra. Yeah. I wouldn't even say it's tedious so much as just like all of your muscle memory of like using drones and all your hotkeys and everything, they don't quite work out the same way. So it's just a bit disorienting. Like there's, I don't know. Yeah, because the thing with the late game is that a lot of times like you set up your drones and you just sort of have to like walk away and do something else for a little bit while they build the thing. Whereas in the early game, all the building just gets done instantly. So it's just very different. Alright, we are almost there. We just need like 2 more belts. And let's craft up a couple more inserters. Also, I need to get that science going again. Alright, so what is the limiting factor here, and how can I make it stop being limiting? It would seem to be it's the plates. Okay, well I can do something about that. Yeah, the drone stuff does take a fair bit of getting used to. That's for sure. Alright, so what I can do is I have that. I have you. So in order for this setup to work, you need to be there. You need to be there. Get you powered up. Alright, so then we can cut that off and connect that across and get you fueled up. So now we have 2 smelters going with 2 mining drills. So that will make this probably not quite twice as fast, but probably close. So that's nice. And we should have enough belts now that we can go down, get power automated. Looks like logistics is about to finish. Yes, there we go. Logistics is finished. Alright, so that goes into there, and then we just pop an inserter in and bring the power down a little bit. Alright, what do we want here? Steel processing gets better furnaces. So I definitely want to get off of the burner for the stone furnaces and onto electric furnaces just as soon as possible. Alright, so that is going now. We don't need to worry about it. It's just gonna do its thing. Okay, next up is research automation. Probably. Actually, the next thing is getting that additional electric mining drill onto this, just so that we don't have to worry about the math not lining up for whatever reason. Alright, so you go in, and then go into there. Now we have 2 miners for coal. And now that's definitely going to be enough. Alright, so research automation, we need gear wheels and copper plates. So copper plates are over here, and they just need the stone to be automated. Well, let's get the constructor built, and I think we're just going to put it sort of evenly spaced between the two for now, because I think that just makes the most sense. So we're going to have it along this power line up here. So then you are going to be making the automation science. Then we're going to need another one, which means I need to go and grab more plates. So let's grab some of those and craft up another one of you. Alright, so then we can get that set up there, and you just insert directly across, and then we get all that stuff powered on. You are going to be making the gear wheels. So now we just need a belt from over here to some of this plate production into that, and then a belt from over here, some of that copper production into that, and then we'll be good to go. So let's make more mining drills for this, just in the short term, so that we're not messing with our other stuff and we have just like dedicated supplies of everything. So you have to get close enough to actually build it. You get to go there on the copper, and then we get one up here on the iron, like that, and you get powered, and then this just goes as far over that way as we can. Ooh, 72 belts, that's a good number. So then we can just drag this the rest of the way over. Did I get that to line up perfectly without even counting? I think I did. Alright, so I need more electrical poles, so let's queue up just a bunch of those so we don't run out for a little bit. And then you get a power pole there. Wait, I'm dumb. I need to actually smelt this first, obviously. And that's going to require a furnace, which we're just going to put in, I don't know, somewhere. Actually, I want this to be accessible by the coal for the short term. So if I do end up running a belt over there, I want to be able to have coal go into that belt. So we need to leave one side open and just get a couple inserters queued up. It's another thing which we're going to need to automate pretty soon-ish. Alright, then speaking of coal, I only have one in my inventory, so let's hop over here and grab some. Yoink. That should be enough to keep this running for now. Alright, so then that gets a stack of coal. And then this, we're going to want to do the same thing, basically. Wait, don't use the ghost mode because I don't have drones. I need to remember that. And then that gets powered. And I used ghost mode again, because of course I did. I don't even know why I did for that one. It was absolutely right next to me. And then this goes up to here. Somewhere like that. And gets inserted. Then you get an inserter. You get an inserter. Can I make you on the hotbar? Thank you. Yeah, so those are the only things I really need on the hotbar. And then you get a stack of coal. And we should be all clear for that. And then let's just, I don't know, make another science lab. Might as well. Although I think just the one is necessary. And then we can connect that down into this. And then we'll have automated science, at least at a basic level. There we go. We are going. Alright, so once we get steel, we can get electric furnaces and then make all of this stuff a lot less annoying. Hopefully that doesn't take too long and we don't have to drag this belt all the way over there to make it work. And we can just replace all of the furnaces and then not worry about it. Alright, so up here we have our chest with belts. So now we have like 100 spare belts, so that's pretty cool. Assembly machine 1 is going. Its output full. So we could run like 10 of these off of this one machine, although we can only run like 3 off of the plate supply. That's hard to actually do the math there. But yeah, we could theoretically have this going a lot faster is my point, but it should be fine as is. In the meantime, I have gun turrets, and I have the ability to automate ammunition. So let's do that so that this whole thing doesn't get obliterated by a random passing biter. You don't have any plates. You do. Give you some coal so that you can keep running. So let's get an assembly machine. And then we can put you in there. Run this belt up a little bit. And attach it up. Get a power line in. And you are going to be making firearm magazines and putting them in a box. Where are the boxes? There they are. Alright, so this doesn't need to be a full box. We just need like a couple stacks. And then let's craft up some of those. Alright, so now we have 2 gun turrets, which is not a huge amount, but it is something. And we have a steady supply of firearm magazines to put in them. Alright, so the place that we need these is really primarily up by the power. So let's... because the biters are up here by the coal and the stone. And they're really very close. So we need to make sure that nothing funny happens up here. Okay, this might provoke an attack. The biters will attack if you place a gun turret too close to them. Where's my ammo? There. You get 9 clips of ammo, which hopefully will be enough to defend against like an attack. And then you get the other 9, and then I'm going to have to run back real quick to get some for my own personal pistol, because currently I am defenseless. Alright, so that's going strong. The research is working slowly. Not the fastest research in the world, but it's something. Alright, now we have a good chunk of belts. And let's see here. So this is not producing nearly fast enough to keep up with that or the inputs to it. So let's see if we can speed it up a little bit by making another one of those, grabbing more iron plates from over here. Alright, we can distribute that coal a little bit better to get that running as well. Alright, so now we need to just slightly rearrange all of this so that it all works properly. So we need... Actually, how does this work? We need you to turn up this way. We need you to be shifted over slightly and feed into that belt, which goes up that way. Then we need an output belt. Actually, this copper is only on one side of the belt, which is actually very convenient because it means that we can just use this as the output belt as well. Alright, so we need to get some power poles out of the way there. And this goes like that, and like that. Now this assembly machine just goes right over there, and you get shifted over a little bit to feed it. And you are still making gear wheels. And then you output onto that belt. There we go. Alright, so then we just have to get you up to there. And you go in. You get some of that. And we need a couple more inserters. So you go there. And those two get powered up. Then we need to output onto this belt like that. And then we can take that out. We have steel researched. So then the next thing we need is, what do we need for this? Oh, we need green science for that? Yikes. Well, let's start doing green science then. Alright, so then you can just go up there and take from that belt, and all good. So that should be 0.3 per second, which should be about what this copper is capable of doing. So that should be more or less stable until we mess up and put copper on the other side of this belt, which will probably happen pretty soon, knowing me. Alright, so we have that. We have that. Alright, so logistics science is researching. We have our ammo. What is it that needs to be done right now? Drone networks, they trivialize so many logistical issues and only cost an unhealthy amount of electricity. Yeah, especially like in my first save when I was doing a lot of solar panel power, that electricity demand was insane. And then I swapped over to nuclear and it stopped being a problem. So go nuclear, I guess. Nuclear power is real good. Alright, so we need, looks like, probably just want more iron on this production line. So get me some iron. And at some point I'm going to need to like set up a more reasonable setup so that we can automate more things than just the couple handfuls that we have. Like having this setup where the miners input directly into furnaces is terrible. You decide to give Deathworld a try? No, this is just regular old settings, but we're doing Space Age, which is probably going to be pretty interesting once we get up to the late game. For now, though, we are just sort of doing what we did last time, but hopefully making fewer mistakes and better decisions along the way. Alright, where is my coal? Yeah, if I can't completely rush... I can't remember how difficult it is to get green science automated. Hopefully we can just completely rush electric furnaces and just bide time with manually filling the stone furnaces in the meantime. Because last time I didn't do that, and it sort of made some problems in the long term, because I had just these stone furnaces just wastefully sucking up coal. Alright, so that is going. That should be more iron plates. And alright, we have some of that stuff set up. I need to get iron plates and copper cable together. Alright, let's convert this thing down here into more of a general purpose smelting setup. So instead of just being for science, let's set up a couple more of these guys. And we're going to need a bunch of inserters. Yeah, it's not a question of, like, does it matter? It's a question of, like, do I like doing it? You know, I frequently will do things slightly less optimally because it's cleaner and more convenient. Alright, so we have that. Then we need to get these guys all set up. And there you go. That should last a decent amount of time. Yeah, exactly. Not wasting coal is better, which is why, like, given the choice between doing it and not doing it, of course I'm going to choose not to, even if it is arguably just less convenient. I don't know. There we go. So now we have our iron. And some of it can go up there. Just one belt would guarantee the copper doesn't go awry. Yeah, that's true. I could fix that, but it should be okay. Alright, so now that we have a bunch of those set up, but we have low power. Any plans on the run or just free play? For now we're just playing. Eventually I'm going to figure out, like, what exactly the Space Age DLC is like and figure out what our goals are, but they're probably going to be pretty big goals. I don't like setting small goals. Alright, so we need to get this set up. We need... That has plenty of steam. Consumes 30 steam per second. This generates 60 steam per second. So we can just put in another steam engine and then it'll be fine. Rushing drones hard? Yeah, I definitely plan on it. The drones are definitely very convenient. Alright, so now we have twice as much power. That should hopefully get things going again. Big goals, launch rockets, get all the achievements, conquer the galaxy. Yeah, that seems... Those seem like fun goals. Alright, so then we need more... We need more mining over here. Gotten the power grid back to... stable enough, I guess. Should be fine. Alright, what are we short on? We need to grab more iron. Alright, so let's grab some of you. And then get... How much is this? That's 0.5 per second output. These are like 0.3 per second each. So if we have 5 of these, we need like 3 of these. Alright, that should not be too hard. Alright, so we can just set you up like that. But we finished green science research. That's huge. Now, once we actually get the green science, we can do that. In the short term, I guess we will do walls. Yeah, let's do walls while we figure out. I don't always remember the recipes for everything. So we're going to have to... Wait. These are one of the... I always forget that mining drills don't use inserters. They just put directly onto the belt. There. So you go like that, and then up onto there. Upside to Space Age is having full access to mods and team games. That's interesting. Yeah, I guess I should look into that at some point. Alright, so these are all going. Plenty of iron going over there. Now, what is our green science looking like? Transport belts and inserters. Well, I have transport belts, and I was just planning on automating inserters, so I guess that works out nicely. What do you do to automate inserters? Iron plates, iron gear wheels, and electronic circuits. So electronic circuits are iron plates and copper cable. So this is going to be a couple of steps. So let's make some assembly machines. And let's put those on the hotbar because I'm probably going to use them a lot. Alright, so you go in there, get powered across, and make me some copper cable. And then you're going to output that copper cable over to there. Then we are going to... Okay, this is all going to be very scuffed, but that's fine. We were going to set up a more permanent setup in the future. In the meantime, I guess let's grab military. Never hurt to have the ability to set up some better defenses. Alright, so then we have those going. And then we need this to... Well, we want to get it up to by the belts so that both so we can have sort of a central location to refill from and so that we can combine them in the research. So let's see here. We need more iron plates to make an underground belt. And both of those are flat out. Alright, well, that's what this is for, I guess. We can just grab some of those. Craft a couple of those and put them on the hotbar. Then we can go like that. And you go underground, like so. No, don't face it that way. Face you that way, and get powered up. Yeah, that makes sense. Well, that most mod packs would assume that you have the DLC. Well, I don't have to worry about that because I have the DLC now. Alright, so we need plates and gear wheels for this. So we have our plates belt here, which... Hang on, actually, does it make sense to do this here? No, we can do all of this down below on this side of things. And then... Hang on, let me think. I could just, like, put plates onto this belt and then have that belt be more all-purpose and useful. Alright, so we need this to go up like that. Then this goes up like that. And then, is this aligned properly? I think it is. So now we just need two of you to go into there. Into there, get power over to that, and a couple more inserters. We finished military science, so now let's do fast inserters, I guess. mixed belts, I don't normally like doing them. They're just very convenient in the early game where you don't have to run as many belts and you don't have to worry about long-handled inserters and stuff. You can just sort of have it work. Alright, so set you up, and you should be all good. Then we can take that out, put those on the belt, bring it over this way. We need more iron because we always do. So let's grab some of that and make a couple more assembly machines. So now we can get you in there, feed you those, and feed you those. Then all of you get powered up. You get set to green science. And then we just have to bring you back over to the science lab. And then that will be green science automated. Don't waste an underground belt on that. Just get rid of the tree. Okay. Very, very scuffed early setup is coming together pretty nicely. Can't quite figure out how to do 3+ products. Yeah, that... Let's see, like on a single belt, that's kind of rough. Because obviously having 2 is easy, because you just have like the 2 dedicated sides. But with 3+, you would have to do like basically a loop and have some way of getting excess products out, and it would be pretty complicated. You might need... Yeah, you could probably actually do it with the data systems, not too terribly, so you could set how many is allowed to be on the entire belt like you would have like a loop, and then you would say you can have up to 20 of each on the belt at once, otherwise the inserters that put it on get turned off. But yeah, something like that I think would be necessary. I don't know how to do it without that. Yeah, exactly. It's just you would have to do like more careful monitoring and stuff. It can be done. It's just at that point, most of the time, just put another belt on. Yeah. At that point, you're not really making anything easier for yourself by doing that. Whereas having 2 things on a belt can often be more convenient. Alright. Currently we're researching fast inserters, but I don't really care about researching fast inserters. Also, we need to get more labs, because our current setup is not going at max speed. So let's restock on some copper plates. The less amount of reliance on the circuit network, the better. Well, I wouldn't necessarily go that far. I mean, circuit networks are very useful. It's just that they can also get very complicated. They're more work to set up. So like if you get one set up and have it work properly, then that's great. But like, can you get one set up and have it work properly is the question. And how much time are you to spend doing that when you could just like do it more easily? Alright, let's grab some coal and go and restock. And we are pretty close to having electric furnaces. I mean, we just need to finish this one research that we're doing and then swap it over. So we should be mostly done here. You have 9 left, and you're pretty important. So I'll refill you. You're doing fine. No need to do that yet. These are all looking pretty rough as well. So I guess I'll do what I can. And then once we get electric furnaces, we can set up a better system for this without having to worry about constantly restocking. The reason I'm building this so scuffed is that I'm going to be tearing it down pretty quickly, so there's no real need to go crazy on making it perfect. Alright, so let's get our labs... Let's get more labs in so that we can do that faster. Just like craft up another 2 of those. For just me? I don't know. Is it still going? It should be still going. Oh, yeah, okay, definitely. Attempting to reconnect. Drop frames 1. Alright. Alright, that's annoying. Weird. Alright, that's unusual. Alright, well, we're going to... Alright, are we back? I think we're back. Alright. I think we're back. Alright. Well, that was weird. Are we back? Maybe? Alright, cool. We're back. Yeah, I had to physically close the OBS window and reopen it. Like, nothing else worked. So that was bizarre. Alright, cool. We are back. Let's see, what were we doing? What were we doing? Right, we were doing research stuff. So I can set that up for electric furnaces. Alright. Circuit networks can definitely be unintuitive. Like, I don't know. They're almost but not quite like programming, which makes them like I almost know what to do with them, and then I just get a little bit confused every so often as like how exactly you can do things. Alright, we're back though. This is going. We need more of that. How much that needs? 75, which is quite a lot. So we need more copper. That's the next thing. So let's get, I guess, just another one of you. These are 0.5, these are 0.3, so we can just get this all set up. And give me some more insert. Wait, I'm automatically crafting inserters. I shouldn't need to be doing this. Alright, that's fine. We have it now. So you then go and you output up to there. And of course the power pole doesn't quite reach. Why would it? Alright, and then we need to fuel it up. So let's go over here, grab some coal, and shovel it in. There you go. So that should be twice as many copper plates going out now, which should have everything going. Now I just want to grab some iron Preferably a decent amount. Make an iron chest. Yeah, now that you can check all contents of a belt with a single cable, yeah, that definitely would help, because you would just say, like, the entire belt, you would have just the entire loop be one belt. You would have the cable check if there's, I don't know, like 50 or more or something on that entire loop. And then if there is, then you just shut off all the inserters putting that specific item onto the belt. So it shouldn't be that complicated. But I don't personally like sushi belts all that much, just aesthetically. But it shouldn't be it shouldn't be that hard, I think. Alright, so let's see, what was I doing? Right, so now we can take some of that off, put that in, get those across, and there we go. Sushi belt idea: splitters to break up the belt, allowing monitoring a small portion of the loop. Each single item inserter places until the portion has one or two of the product. Yeah, I guess you could do that. That seems more complicated, though. Like, I don't know. That seems more complicated than just checking the loop as a whole. All right. Oh, I was going to be building more research labs. I even had them all crafted and everything. No, you just need red and green, which is what I currently have. So now I just have to figure out how to get this in. Get some of these trees out of the way. Yeah, I'm currently researching it, and it's just taken a little bit because research is slow. Alright, there we go, and then one more, and the incredibly scuffed research setup has been tripled in speed. It's for consistency, or you'll eventually end up with a lot of one thing in a row. Well, okay, I mean, that makes sense, but is that really a problem? I guess if the loop is too big. Yeah, I guess if the loop is really big and you have like 50 things in a row, and then the entire rest of the loop has nothing of that one thing, it could cause minor delays. But I feel like there's easier ways of solving that just with buffer chests. Like wherever needs it, it just has a buffer chest so it can grab them all at once. That... yeah, I don't know. It seems less likely to have things go wrong. Alright, so research is researching. We're going 6 science per minute. Estimated 10 minutes left. Alright, in the meantime, we have transport belts automated. We have inserters automated. What's next? It'd be nice to have splitters. Oh, those are kind of complicated. Okay. Underground belts are relatively simple. Let's get those. Okay, actually, these guys have run out of coal, so let's get you going. Don't want to have our iron production stop. That would be bad. All right, so this is all going quite nicely. Is there anything in here that's like a massive, easily preventable bottleneck? So the research here looks like it's going to be enough to at least get to the electric furnaces. Alright, let's just get the rest of these belts automated. There's also the recalculation of the belt length changes and you want it to stay full. Yeah, that's true. Your system would be better for that. You could pretty easily expand it and not have to redo the numbers. Yeah, I could see that being a thing. I don't know. Honestly, I'm still just gonna go with the let's just not do sushi belts unless we really need to sort of situation. I really like having nice designated, organized spaces for things. It's much preferable for me. Alright, how much? Alright, you can take a chill. We don't need hundreds and hundreds of those. We do need hundreds and hundreds of these, and also it's not producing very fast anyways. Alright, I cannot wait. Actually, let's automate. What do we need to automate? We're going to need a lot of electric mining drills at some point. Plates, gear wheels, and circuits. Wait, that's the same as inserters, right? Just in different numbers? Alright, well that's convenient. Okay. So, if we just... Okay, no, because this isn't going to have enough... This isn't going to have enough gear wheels, because we're already running low at just doing all of the rest of this. Alright, so instead we're going to need to make new gear wheel setup down here. So we go there, gets that in, plates, check, gear wheels, check. Let's get this powered. Okay, what we can do then is we can just bring this up to connect with this, and it's doing the right side of the belt, so that's fine. So just go under the wire belt, and that's that. And then we need so many electronic circuits. We're gonna need to improve this production as well, and it's short on wire, which means we can do this, get all of that powered up, and give it the wire recipe, and then actually you could just go like that, and like that. And then that goes across, and now we are going to need a lot more copper mining, which is fine, because we're going to need that soon anyways. So let's see, electronic circuit supply has gone away, because of course it has. Iron plate supply is not doing great. We're going to go back to here to grab some. Alright, so then we should be able to add a couple more electric mining drills on. And then we can just go like that. And connect you up. Get power. And do another one. Connect you up. That's... Let's see here. That is 1.5 per second there, which is going to be 1.5 per second here, which is not going to be enough to run both of these wires. So we are going to want the fourth. And then we just bring the power down. Yeah, I feel like you mostly always use belts for something, right? Like, it's at least in my previous game, there was never a point where it was like, oh, well, I just don't use belts anymore. Like, you can definitely find uses for belts. You might do trains for long range stuff. Like, the small amounts of throughput makes trains a little bit silly, but they are very convenient for long range, so that's worth considering. And then also drones are great for like medium range-ish low throughput stuff, so that's also the other option. One of the cool things about this game is there's a lot of ways of doing things. You don't have space agent that requires blue signs for electric furnaces. It must be. Because, I mean, I'm actively researching them right now with red and green science. So, yeah, I don't know what that's about then. Alright, so you get more coal. None of you are about to run out. You two have run out. I guess we'll throw one into those. Those are steel furnaces, not electric furnaces. Oh, I forgot that there was a difference there. Okay, that's fine. I I forgot that there was an intermediate step. Okay. That's still okay. Steel furnaces are still great. In my head, it just went straight from stone furnaces to electric furnaces. Almost as good as electric ones, except no module slots and consume fuel. Yeah, the consuming fuel is sort of the annoying part, because it means you have to run an additional belt, and it makes everything marginally more annoying. Okay. No, you were not going crazy. I was just the one who was going crazy, or more accurately, just not paying attention to what I was doing. I was doing a research. I didn't know what I was researching. Alright, speaking of steel, actually, I need to get some steel producing, right? Because we're going to need that soon for these. So let's get a couple of electric furnaces. And there we go. So these go in. And... okay, that's the wrong one. Grab some more belts. Actually, might as well grab a stack of ammo while we're at it. Okay, then we have this. And we have our ore. And let's see here. Where do we want to do? I don't want to build on the ore patch much other than miners. Let's actually just go down and around to here. So this is going to be for steel production only, so we're not going to connect it up with that other ore. Alright, so we have this, and then we need to get, it's just like a pair of stone furnaces, right? So you just go there, into a belt, bring power across, of course. There we go. Oh, you have to not hold shift while you do it. Alright, then you get a stack of that. And then we chop some more trees down to get more space. And then we go across again. Get you powered up. And producing steel once we get some coal in there. Having steel furnaces require a whole different type of fuel rather than just being strictly better. I don't know. I like the... I think it's fine for things to be strictly better than very early game things, you know? Like that just seems very natural to me. Alright, steel furnaces, check. So we've got those. Then we want... let's see, what's next? Automation 2. I don't really need that. Let's just crank out some of the easy things here. Let's do repair packs. Alright, so now we're producing steel. And that means we have these, which are steel plates and stone bricks. Of course they need stone bricks, so we're going to have to head up there to the stone setup to get that done. We're also going to want a box for this to go into for now. So that can store our steel production for the time being, so that we have a little bit built up. Like where steel itself requires a fancy coal intermediate. I don't know, this all seems like you're adding a whole lot of extra steps. I'm definitely gonna have to try out modded Factorio at some point. I keep hearing good things about it. Alright, what is going on up here? We have just a box filled with stone. Okay, so first of all, we need that to go over there so that we can then grab from that box and smelt it. So we take that tree out of the way, put the box in, queue up radar research, give you some coal, get power there, and now this has to output into a box, I guess. And where's the boxes? And powered. Alright, stone bricks are now being made. Alright, so Factorio adds a bit more complexity without making things overwhelming, and then PUI makes things just straight up insane. Alright, that's good to know. I'll have to decide at some point in the probably distant future when I do a modded playthrough. I'll have to figure out what I'm doing with that. Alright, so we have stone bricks automating, we have steel automating. Now we just have to get the steel furnaces. Done radar. And I guess we can do heavy armor. Alright, how much do we need for this? It's 6 steel plates and 10 stone bricks for each furnace. Okay, that's fine. It's not too bad. So that gets us like 2 furnaces of steel plates there. And then the stone bricks we have to go up here for. Up we go. Grab some stone bricks. Hopefully they smelt pretty quickly. Okay, yeah, so the stone bricks smelt real fast, so that's nice. So we can get a couple of those. And are they the same shape? Yes, they are. Oh, right, I remember that. They're the electric furnaces are the ones that are larger. Alright, well, I guess we might as well make you a steel furnace. And then we have one left. We have the stone to make another one. Now with this furnace we can do even more. Alright, so let's go and try to upgrade some of the other furnaces down there. But really, more than upgrading furnaces, I think we probably need to make these things just properly organized and neat. Because the current setup is not great. Like, everything is all over the place, and it's awful. So we can do some stuff with this, but ultimately we are just going to need to rework most of this into a proper early-ish game setup as opposed to what I have here. So at least we have these electric furnaces so that this is going kind of, or not electric, steel furnaces, so that this is going kind of fast. Then we are going to need, we're going to need more fuel, like instantly, for the steel. So let's run on over, and I think, let's see, we want obviously to have coal access to all of our furnaces. And that is going to probably just require me to be nice and organized. There we go. I somehow managed to get that in before it ran out. And this is just going very slowly. So we need more of these. Which of these is the limiting factor here? So these go at the same rate. So just adding one or the other doesn't make things faster. I have to add both. And I also need more stone, I think, in order to get anything done. Yeah, so now I have to go up and grab a resupply of stone. And then I think we're going to probably just build our smelter setups just along this coal line. Although having the smelter setups be in front, just directly in front of the power, seems like that might not be the greatest idea, but who knows. Alright. Actually, if we're going to do that, I think I might as well start by bringing the stone down here. So we just get you out onto a belt. Yeah, I could make more power elsewhere, obviously, but I don't know. If there's no need to move things, I wouldn't really want to do that. It's in a nice convenient spot right by the water as it is. So we're going to get all of this stone through the forest so that we don't have to go all the way up there for it every single time. Probably should have done that ages ago, to be honest. But there's just a lot of things to do. Alright. Heavy armor has been researched. And I guess we can queue up... Ooh, power 2 is great. I love me some of that stuff. Actually, reasonable sized power grid stuff. The biters to the north are very close. I do have a gun turret up there. I should probably give it enough ammo to actually do anything. There. Alright. It should be fine, probably. I mean, early biters should be able to be held off by a single gun turret. Probably. And then we'll know once stuff starts going down up there that we need to expand. As for pollution, it's I guess it's almost there. So yeah, I mean, it's probably going to be an issue that I need to deal with soon, but soon is not now. Alright, so let's bring this belt down. Chop up some trees. And what is even in the way? There's that guy. It's hard to see. Alright, we unlocked steel axe to make our mining speed faster, which would be handy if I had any intention of doing manual mining. Okay, that doesn't need to go that far down. We just need to get it in this general vicinity. Like there-ish should be fine for the stone. Then the copper can do the same. Oh, it also speeds up cutting trees. Yeah, I guess that's handy. Alright, so we have stone down there now. We can queue up another steel furnace. Alright, how much of that do we have? Not all that much. So we can get this doubled temporarily. And let's see here, grab some more insert. I have automatic inserting. Oh, it includes breaking building items. I did not realize that manual mining included all that stuff. I thought it was just literally just mining. Alright, that's handy then. Alright, grab some more electric poles because we're running low. And then get all of you guys all set up. And I guess we can give you each a little bit of fuel. And then move our box down to the actual end of this. So there we go. And then get rid of a tree or two so that I can see the box like that. Alright, so now we should be able to craft up a decent chunk of steel furnaces and start moving over to a more consolidated, semi-long-term setup. So we can go over here and get our steel furnaces down. So what we need to do is we need splitters, which means we need electronic circuits, which fortunately we have. So let's just yoink some of those to make crafting time faster, yoink some of those so we don't have to worry about that. Alright, now we can make some splitters. And these are going to be pretty high on the list of things to automate once I get around to doing that. So we need the coal belt to split off and then go over that way, where it can feed a row of furnaces. And that row of furnaces will be iron or copper. And then we're going to need to do the same thing for another row, and then probably one more for stone, and then we'll be good. Oh boy. Off you go. And back to what we were doing. So now these all get powered up. And alright, I need to get the resources in here in a expandable way, which I guess we're just sort of doing bus adjacent things now. So this is going to be the input to those, and then also the output. I got the long inserters right. Yes, I did. So then we can have the output be back this way. And then we craft up some of these guys. Alright, so now those go out to there. And then we need to get power to those, which I think the better systems, the better power poles can reach across those two lanes, so we're just going to have to hold out for that, I guess. And then in the meantime, we just take our copper belt, and I guess we should branch it so that we don't disrupt our current stuff. Let's grab more belts, because we ran out. I am not used to not having drones constantly restocking me. I feel like I should be able to just keep building, and it is not the case at all. Alright, so this then goes up. And actually, we need it to get it over to the other side, so that it's not in the way of any expansion. So you are just going to be going over like this. And give me some underground belts. And then get me off of that before the belt drags me away. Alright, so then this can wrap back up this way. And then get back over. And the reason I'm doing it like this is that now I can expand this furnace setup over this way pretty far before I run into something. And that will be quite nice to have. Alright. So this is still crafting. In the meantime, I should just get as much of this powered as I can, which that doesn't reach far enough up, so I can just get that outside one going, I guess. Alright. And then this can go back over to here somewhere, and I guess that side of this belt will be where proper crafting setup is going to be. And then this area can be mostly retired once this is set up properly. So I need to set up just that same thing for iron and steel and stone bricks. So let's grab a big chunk of steel and then head up to grab some stone bricks, which are, I haven't quite gotten their smelting down yet, so we're going to have to get all the way up there to grab our stockpile. So up we go. It's really not that far, but just having to walk at all is a bit of a nuisance. Alright, so we grab some of those, and let's make a whole bunch of steel furnaces with it immediately. Alright, then we can head back down. And yeah, I mean, this entire thing just sort of doesn't work until we have the better power lines. But once we do, it's going to be nice having it like this. Alright, so let's get our next setup. So we have the coal. Actually, we can just use this one coal branch to do both of them. So let's go like that. And you all get fed with power. And that's that. Then we just have our belts, which go like that, and then like that. Alright, so then this is going to have to go across here, which is apparently too far, so I guess we can set it up like this, and that works. And we're going to need more of those, so let's craft them up. Okay, wait, this was pointing backwards. So this, I forgot that you have to put those in a very specific order or they don't work at all. So we have that. Then we have input inserters, and you get to be on the hotbar, output inserters. There we go. And we get some supply of iron ore onto that. I guess this one is probably my biggest one. So we are just going to split you off, bring you down a little bit, and over, and down a little bit more, and then over this way. And then I guess we just go up past that and over this way. Like that. And then you can go in there. Wait, no, it's the wrong one. Alright, slightly awkward. We need this to wrap out a little bit so that the other one can go back underground and escape outwards. But now we have that set up. Alright, so that will be all good once we have these guys powered up as much as we can. And then there's nothing we can do about these ones and these center ones until we get the better energy distribution. Alright, so that is that. Then we just need another similar setup for steel, because we need to be producing that as well. And this is very, very bus adjacent, but it isn't quite a bus, which is making things mildly confusing for me. Alright, so this, then we have the iron plate input the steel plate output. And we have our furnaces. Actually, wait, no, we can't have that right here because we actually do need power lines. We do need power lines in that spot. So we have that goes this way. Then we have that turn around. And then we have our furnaces go in back here. And we're just going to do 4 of each. Get rid of that giant rock. Which gives us some free coal, which is nice, I guess. Alright, then this belt has to go in, get rid of some more trees. And that tree is apparently in the way. There we go, and then that goes in there. Alright, so then these all get fueled up, and they all output to those belts, and I need more of these, which means I need more iron. Let's see, where is my current iron supply best? Well, this one has apparently dug out all of the iron beneath it, so that's interesting. Give you some coal so that you can keep running for a little bit longer. But that's all gonna die pretty quickly, because I have no intention of fueling it past the last little bit. Alright, what was I doing? Right, so these get powered. That's an important step. And then we get a good chunk of those crafted up. And they go in like that. And then once we have better power poles, that can also get properly set up. In the meantime, we're just going to have the outer 2 going. So we need to grab this, have it go underground again, and escape under that. And then we need to stop going outwards so much so this can loop back into this size, where we go to here, and then across to there. And we need a little bit more of this so that we can get the output back. Alright. This is the world's worst bus, but it is kind of a bus, which is fine for now. We have these guys. Did I set them up wrong? Yes, I did. So you need to be facing the other way to make steel. Alright, so we have decent... Now this is not going to last forever, because eventually we're going to run into belt speed limitations on this. But for the time being, this should be a decent setup for basic ore processing, and then we can just take all of those and then bring them out to wherever we need to get the resources and do various crafting stuff over here. And try to keep things organized, but they're probably not going to be too organized because I'm trying to get past this phase of the game, honestly. I like train-based systems a lot more than bus-based systems. So we're going to try to get to those relatively quickly. But we need to get to that point first. And we need to get to the point where we have like a decent chunk of all the basic resources before we can start building large scalable type designs instead of tiny little scuffed designs like this. So we can grab some of that. These are still our only supply of belts, so I'm going to run over and get those powered up again, because we can't be running out of belt production. We need it for science and for just actually building stuff. So we head on over, and alright, so you get some coal, you get some coal, you get some coal. That should get that producing again at the very least. We're starting to run low, converting all of that stuff to science. The rest of this is mostly going fine, although this stuff needs coal too, and that's, again, connected up to some of our other production, so we kind of need it to keep going for the time being. So let's grab some of that, and then head back on over to this. Alright, so you get a little bit of coal, you get a little bit of coal, you already have some, so then you get some, and you get some, and that should get that running again. We also didn't manage to quite run out of iron plates here, and now we don't have to worry about doing that again for a little while. And theoretically, upgrading those to steel furnaces would make them more coal efficient, I think. I'm not sure about that, actually. Are the steel furnaces just faster, or... Yeah, okay, so they are... They are more coal efficient because they use the same power, but produce twice as fast. So I could do that. Alright, we have electric energy distribution, which means that we can have that be less terrible. Then next up will be, let's see here, what of these do I really need? Engine leads into fluid stuff and train stuff, which I guess that is something that I want to tackle soon. Tool belt is nice. Obviously, logistics 2 is always going to be helpful. Solar panels are cool. Lamps exist technically, I guess. We could do the military stuff, but we don't really need it at the moment. I mean, we haven't been attacked even once. So automation 2 leads into all sorts of stuff, which eventually leads to chemical science. I don't know, let's do that. Having faster assemblers can never be bad. Speaking of which, how is power going? Production is still going fine. Still have a little bit of extra production compared to our output. So we need steel plates, iron sticks, and copper cables in order to make medium power poles. So let's go over here and set something up for that. So we're going to need at least a splitter and probably a bunch of splitters. So let's grab some more of those and a little bit of that just so that we have it. So we need to split off our iron plates and get those going with the steel plates. Alright, so we need assembly machines. So we can get one of those queued up. And we need to make iron sticks. So we can get this all set up. And you are going to be making those and outputting them. And we're sort of... The goal of being semi-organized here, while not going fully organized, is that we're going to have our outputs, broadly speaking, move over to the left, so that the more complicated stuff goes over there and the simpler stuff goes over here. Alright, so we have steel plates check, iron sticks check, copper cables are the next one, and they're going to need to do a little bit of acrobatics to get out from all the rest of this junk. So I need more iron plates. because this setup here isn't currently actively producing them or storing them anywhere. So we have some iron plates. Alright, so if we are very careful, we can get the copper out to there, and then craft up another couple of those and get them out to... Actually, no. So that would mean we basically just have the one iron stick machine and nothing else ever for that, which I think we probably are eventually going to need more. So let's just bring the copper plates out to there instead. And then that goes like that. Get it all powered up. And you can make some wires. And then the wires can go out like this. And get the output powered up. Automation 2 is finished. That's nice. Alright, next up. Let's grab engines. We're going to need it at some point. May as well start. We have green science production, so I want to be using our green science in the labs. All right, so we have wire, we have sticks. What else did this need? We have steel. All right. So we just need to make one more assembly machine, and we could go assembly machine 2s. I don't think that's going to be necessary for how many of these that we need. So we're just going to put this up in this general area, I guess. And so you get your steel. This is going to go up. Actually, yeah, we want to leave a little bit of space for these production lines. So let's actually build this. Let's just build it like back here almost. That should leave space for this to expand if I need to, and then it'll line up well with all this stuff. So that goes like that. You get both of those as inputs. And you get this as an input. Like that. And input there. Get the power over here. I almost tried to use drones to place that power pole out of my reach, which I simply cannot do. Alright, so you are now all set up, and you make medium electric poles and output them. I mean, you could just output into a box, right? I'm not going to need a huge number of these. They're not used to craft anything, at least not that I can think of. So you can just do that, and let's limit that to just a couple of stacks. Alright, so now we have these. This is going to be so much nicer. So you can go there. You can go there. You can go there. And now that whole system is set up properly. So now all of these are actually operating to the extent that they're capable of. And alright, so this isn't getting enough iron ore, which is something that we can fix not too difficultly. So we just have to head over here. Oh, did I see power problems? Yes, I did see power problems. Alright, that's, I guess, not surprising. We still only have, like, one boiler's worth or something like that. Alright, so first of all, I don't need this to be my steel production anymore, so I can just redirect that over to here. I can yoink that steel that exists already. And then we can head on over to make another boiler. What do we need for that? We need iron plates. Alright, so that's something that we need to work on. We need to get some of this iron stored in a box. So that get a wooden box, I guess. And so that will now have that sorted. This is all going. Once this extra iron goes through, we'll be back to producing steel. And we have our new power lines, so the only thing we need is to make another boiler and another 2 steam engines, which is going to require a whole lot of iron plates. So let's see if I can scrounge those up from anywhere over here. We still have all of these guys going for the time being. We also have these guys who... That one's got a full stack. That's nice. So let's add another boiler and 2 steam engines on, and this is mostly just delaying the inevitable, because we're going to have to keep expanding this. Alright, so we head down here, and we want to just, like, mildly adjust the way that this works. So that all goes out. That goes out. You go along like that. This goes down a little bit and then over. Then we put power lines in, and this will be... We're almost done using the small power lines. We just need to give it a little bit of time for the big ones to get built. And we also need to... Okay, so that will have bricked the entire factory temporarily. So we can just reconnect them like that. And then reconnect those ones. And now we have twice as much power production as we did. So that should be decent for the short term. We're probably going to need to keep expanding that, but we shouldn't need to for a little bit. Power production is now up to 3.6 megawatts, and we're using like half. Alright, so over here, we've got our iron production. So the box is filling up with iron, so that's good. The amount of iron that we're actually getting, though, is still pretty abysmal. So let's make some more mining drills and try to improve that. So currently we have, what, 5 going here? So I can add in another couple pretty easily. So get them all powered up and connected in. So that should be a distinct improvement. Alright, so that is that. We're all going strong over here. We don't have the steel beams to be doing much, but we do have a good chunk of those, which we can then clear that out and replace that hotkey with that. Alright, so iron plates should be going. It's kind of hard to tell where the increased speed is, but it looks like it's back here still. This is still somehow running with the iron plates there. That's going. Alright, this is... We need to replace this. So we need to make belts, ammunition, inserters, and science. Alright, so the next thing we need for that is... I don't know what this inserter is even doing there. So the next thing we need on our goal of replacing that factory area over there is we need some belt production. So belts are just plates and gear wheels, and we have our plate line here. So actually we need to grab some belts. We're down to 18. That's not going to be enough to do all that much. So back on over we go to grab some of these. Now we're up to 218, which is much better. And we head on over. So this is now really going a lot better now. The improved iron production has made it. And it looks like we're going to need more smelting for this, which is fine. We built that to be expandable. But in the meantime, let's get belt production. So we have our plates. We need these plates to go up that way, so we can just take that out and have these go up like that and then over. Then we need more plates. We always need more plates. Give me all of those. So let's craft up some assembly machines. And that goes in there, gets powered up, and you are going to be making gear wheels, which we can power up with a power pole. It's so nice using the medium ones now. They're so much better than the small ones in like every way. They don't require wood to build. They have bigger radius. They're just great. So that goes there. Apparently bigger radius not quite enough for that. But we have gear wheels and plates now, which means that we can then go a bit over this way, leave some space for more gear wheel production, which we will need eventually. But we don't need that much space because this is still not our long-term factory. This is still very much a slightly less temporary setup. So this goes along like that, and then we have those two, and all powered up. So as far as the output goes, this, I don't think we want to put this directly into a box because we do eventually want to make the next level, so we're going to put that into a belt and then into a box. So where are the iron chests? There they are. I'm still not accustomed to not having drones. I expect to just have everything I could ever need in my inventory, but I have to actually craft stuff. Alright, so now we have that. And we have that. So now the iron plates are going, and we're going to want to expand this out. So let's just double this real quick and get rid of a big rock. Alright, so then these get more inserters, and they get some more outserters, which really, these being called inserters when they also output is just very confusing. But anyway, so that is in, then that belt expands, and that belt expands, and then we get power. Okay, apparently we need a little bit more power poles, and that should be pretty solid iron plate output. You know, it's only doing one side of the belt, which we might have to improve at some point in the distant future. For now, this should be fine. We're getting plenty of iron plates to all the various places that iron plates go. And then it's just a question of when things will overfill and stop needing to produce as much. So this actually should be a perfect production line, right? If that's 1 per second and that needs 1 per second. So if we have enough iron plates, those gear wheels will never back up. And then this is Realistically not going to back up because I'm going to keep using them like crazy. We have this, which I don't think that needs to be huge since I don't intend to do that much more manual crafting, so we can let that... I mean, I'm still going to do a decent amount of manual crafting, so having, 300 on hand would be nice, but I don't need thousands on hand. So I can set that down, and I should probably set up a similar box for copper. So just sort of like off the side of the belt, you get a box which can take a couple stacks so that when I need to manual craft stuff with copper, I have some. So steel is still going. We do not have that much steel. Alright, fluid handling is available now. Landfill is as well. And planet discovery, if we do that. So I don't know what that's about. That's some space age stuff. Circuit network, I guess I could unlock. What does it give me? Arithmetic, decider, constants, and power. So what does this give? That gives selectors, which I think I've used like once. Do I even need these in the short term? I think the answer is no. I think I better just do military too, because that'll give me some more important defensive stuff. Alright, so this is output full, which you'll have to see. This is just waiting on steel production. Alright, we are going pretty well. So as far as back over here, what does this produce? This produces inserters and science and ammunition as the only things that we still need. So I guess inserters are going to be a couple steps. I should get rid of all these annoying yellow exclamation points. Like, yes, I can make engines. What are they for? Nothing. Okay, I guess I can make an SMG. That'll be helpful for self-defense. In case the biters do end up attacking, which I'm kind of surprised, considering how insanely close that biter nest is up north to the stone. I'm surprised that they haven't attacked yet. Alright, let's... I don't even remember how to... Yes, okay, so it's C to switch over. So now I have a slightly better gun. We are chillin'. Alright, so for the inserter production, we need plates, gear wheels, and electronic circuits. So we have plates and gear wheels, although we're going to need more gear wheels. So let's just expand that out to 4. And there we go. Get those guys in. Get them all powered up. Alright, so now our gear wheel production should be enough to handle more stuff. So, next up, we need iron plates and copper cables to combine to make green circuits. And we're going to need more assembly machines, which means let's grab some of this stuff. And at some point we should upgrade all of these to assembly machine 2s. But they're more expensive and we're sort of resource constrained at the moment, so I haven't been doing that. So we can just put these immediately after the power poles because we're not going to need those. And I think we probably only need one one production machine of green circuits, hopefully, for now. I know in the future we're going to need an absolutely ridiculous amount, but I don't need to like instantly plan for that. Okay, this can't physically get there fast enough, so we can move this over a little bit. And then we have input, input, green circuit, power it all up, and then the output can go up here because that's where we are going to be using it. So So that puts green circuits up there. And then our inserters are plates, gear wheels, and green circuits. So this comes down, and then the plates are doing slow things again, which means we're probably going to need to expand that even more. Okay, so this, we don't want that to go down that far because we need it to get above this. So we just set up like that, and then this goes back. Military 2 is done. Let's get fluid handling. We're going to need it pretty soon. I don't know. It's tough to prioritize. Like, all of these things are not urgent, but very helpful. So we just got to keep unlocking them as they come. So this was inserters. And we get one of those in. And what's the hotkey for the long-handled inserters? It's that one. Alright, so that is all set up once iron plate supply stops being the way that it is. So I guess it fills up the manual crafting box first as a priority, and then all of these gear wheels, and then over to here. Systems like this can take a little bit to get online. Alright, so then this is going to be eventually a part of science. So we need it to have a belt. So we can just do this, and like that. And then you get a box, which you can fill up. And do that. So we have sort of cut off our ability to make more of those conveniently. But hopefully that'll be okay. We don't need that much of it. Probably, like, in the long term, we can just, like, speed module, like, tier 2 speed module this should give us all the belts we need, probably. It's pretty fast. Alright, over here, this is still waiting. So these gears have almost backed up fully. So just a couple more gears, and then that should start letting the iron through. And then we have to make some green circuits, and then we have to make some of those. Alright, let's see about... Yeah, I mean, this can just always be expanded, basically. So let's craft up a whole bunch more of these. Just as many as we can. Because iron plates are in demand. So let's then get the belts going. And then the output belt goes back. And all the inserters go in. I cannot wait until I have drones and I can just start blueprinting stuff. So let's craft more of those. This is another thing that I need to automate when I get the opportunity. So those all go in like that. Now we just get power line, and done once we have enough iron ore to actually get it back there, which we do not have a full belt of iron ore, which is causing a problem. So we can go over here and, let's see here, get more of these guys. And they can just go in on the other side and get powered up. So there we go. That's apparently too far from everything to receive power, so we just do that. Then we just put another one there and get another 2 of those in. So that should wind up being approximately the equivalent, because now it's going to be on both sides of the belt, so it'll be harder to tell, but it should be approximately the equivalent of one full belt of iron ore, one side at least. So that's good. We could have unlocked red belts at some point as well to make that even better. But now that box is filled, and we are starting to get some iron all the way through. So green circuits are being produced. Alright, I think this is a decent enough stop. So we are going to need to do a whole lot more work to get this fully going, but I think for today, this is as good a spot as any. So, thanks everyone for hanging out. Starting from scratch like this is always fun. You get to do stuff you sort of vaguely remember doing and figure out what a good way of doing it is again. So, next stream, we're just going to continue on building this semi-permanent factory. And once we have all the basics going, then we can start thinking about a more long-term thing, which is probably going to be based around trains, because I do love me some trains. So that'll be that. Thanks everyone for hanging out. Make sure to follow if you haven't already. I stream every weekday from 2 to 5 Eastern Time, various factory building games, currently alternating between Factorio and Satisfactory, and probably will continue to be doing so for the foreseeable future. So my next Factorio stream will be on Thursday. Tomorrow I'll be streaming Satisfactory, so if you're interested in either of those, that's when to find me. Thanks for hanging out, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.